friends. Welcome to Flosstube and Variety Show number 124. Today is Friday, August 15th, 16th, 2024, and I'm Emily Williams in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Thanks for joining me. It's kind of a gray day today and not too hot. It's quite lovely, actually. I mean, lovely. It is currently, I can't look at my watch, but 80-something degrees, but it isn't as humid as it has been, so that's nice. Anyway, I decided not to change my clothes after being at a memorial service this morning at our church for a man who had served as on our board of elders. I really love, I know this is going to sound weird perhaps to some of you, but I love memorial services because they are so filled with hope. And that this morning was no exception. And Charles, the man who died, definitely had his eyes fixed on the life to come, which is fantastic. Anyway, Flosstube is normally what we talk about here. Flosstube means cross stitch, and variety show means something else, which we'll discover what that is in a little while. So last time I told you that I was really focusing in the month of August on just a few things. And those few things were Mighty Acorn, which I do on the first weekend of each month, Blackbird Design Weekend Sal. I am not the originator of that. I think Laura and Brenda started that possibly 2 years ago, and I have carried it on. I don't know how many people still are, and you also will notice I don't post very often in Instagram, but I really try to. I try to remember. Anyway, that was one thing. Bethlehem, which is the Nativity Sal piece, which I didn't bring over, but I will get it later because I'll explain in a bit. Which is this weekend. The third weekend of each month is Nativity Sal weekend, which is something that Leslie and I and Teresa, at least, we three, are stitching Christmas-themed stitching on the third weekend of every month, whether religious or not. Could be just culturally Christmas, holiday-themed stitching. And I'm doing a particular piece, which I will show you my starting point for this weekend in a bit. And then 3 other pieces that I'm trying to focus on in August, which are Under the Roof of Blue Ionian Weather, Sampler 193, and Jane Thompson. So let's see. Under the Roof of Blue Ionian Weather, this is full coverage. Golden Kite is the designer. The artist is a 19th century painter, which I put the information in the description field about that. And I am about 67% done. I've done 900 stitches since the last time I showed this last week, and really, I can sort of tell, but I'm not sure you can. Some floss tubers I watch do before and after shots, which is great, but I don't do that. But I had said I was going to fill out some more of this blue to get anchoring points for this marble arch that's right below there. And I did start on the marble arch. I filled in a lot of the little individual confetti stitches in the rose bush area and in the top of that marble area and in this woman's dress. I'm gridded, so this is the edge. This is how big it will be. So I'm gridded all the way to there, most of the places, right down in this area. I'm not quite there, but close enough. And so theoretically I could stitch any of it by careful counting, which I usually try to stitch near what I'm already stitching because careful counting can go wrong. Even careful counting can go wrong. My thought kind of is to finish this next year, but I'm not going to push myself on that. Maybe 2026 is good enough. It's a 72,000 stitch piece, and I've done something like 47,000 stitches, so, you know. I also worked on Jane Thompson, 1838, charted by the Scarlet House. This is called an adaptation. I don't know what the original antique looks like, but it was an exclusive offered through Homespun Needlework cross-stitch group. Was it a year ago? Some time ago. And this is the totality of where it is. So what I did is I did that tree. I started the next two lines of, the last two lines of the text, and I added some words to the third and fourth lines. I filled out the leaves on some of that medium border there, and going down the side, and going down that side inner border. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but it was about 4 days of working on it, which it wasn't the only thing I worked on for those 4 days, but it was not an insignificant amount of time each day, so I don't know. I have no idea. And then this is sampler 193. I'm not gonna pull out that little sheet because you can tell what it's gonna look like. I was working down in this corner. I can't remember how much, but I think I got all of this done. Maybe some of this, I can't remember exactly, but it's coming. This is about 79% finished. I would like to finish this year. I think they're about 6,800 stitches to go. It's possible. I don't know for sure. Moving away from cross stitch and talking about knitting, I was knitting this pattern with this purple yarn, and I finished, which I was very close before. Oops, let's not show that side. Is this the, yeah, this is the front side. So this is it, it's this long. I did not want to keep knitting. So this is the bind off area, right? Is that the start? That's the start. Yeah, the bind off is over here. So you're gonna have to see that I didn't fix that yet. So I did not want to keep knitting into this next section where this greenish color came. So when I started to see the blue, I decided it was finished. And so I bound it off, and possibly, I haven't blocked it. I don't block everything I knit. I'm not sure that I'm going to block it, but it is, you know, it's, again, seeing it from a distance, I like it. I like it a lot, actually. Now, that said, this is something I would consider selling because, I don't know, because how many hand knit scarves can one person use? And I have a lot of them because it's something I enjoy doing. How much would I sell that for? That's always a question, isn't it? So the yarn cost about $65. So maybe $130. I probably have 60 hours of work in it, maybe more. I don't know, because I never keep track. I have at least 2 Olympics in it. I don't know. But nobody, I mean, there's no possible way for me to get the value of my time out of any handwork whatsoever. The only thing I will say that I think the market value comes close to matching the effort is actual quilting, you know, using our long arm quilting machine. There, I think, yes, I think that the hourly, which you can break down as an hourly cost, is not bad. Now, then you have to figure in the cost of the owning the machine, which that's big expense to start with. So what next, Emily? What are you going to knit next? Well, one thing is I have this other pattern, which is called Carell Carell's Cashmere, can't remember what that's called. It starts with W and there's a Whimple is what it's called. And the idea being that you make it, you knit it in the round. I knit one already. You knit it in the round and you knit it tall enough so that it can be just around your neck, or you can pull it up over your head. And I did that with this. I mean, I possibly gave out of interest an inch before I should have, but this works pretty well. And it does have a really nice pattern to it. And as I recall, it's easy to do. It's, you know, not thoughtless, but it's not too difficult. I think it might be a 4-row repeat. And knit in the round, so you would have to have a stitch marker so you know when to change the next thing. At least I found that it made it less made me able to not think about it too much. I said for sock weight, which is this, 140 stitches around, and that 3 yards of yarn is 1 row. Yes, it's a 4-row repeat. So I might do this next. And I have several different yarn possibilities for this. That's nice. This is merino wool. So this right here is merino wool. I think it's 100% merino. This is merino wool. I think it's 100% merino wool also. I was trying to decide if it had any nylon in it at all, but I don't think so. I mean, it is a sock weight yarn. So that is a possible next project for that weight of yarn. But I also started, what did I do here? Well, I don't have the pattern. Oh yes, I do, it's right here. Sorry, this is called Square Within a Square, and this is it was a Craftsy kit. I don't know which is actually the cover page. I guess this is. And I made it. I bought the kit and I made it in this nice dark purple, and I like the pattern on it because it is actually fully reversible. So no matter which way up, it has a deep garter stitch border, and then the square and a square are stockinette. And it's pretty easy. Once you get it set up, you have to count a little bit, but not that much. And it recommends using stitch markers and all to guide you, which I probably won't. I'll probably just pay attention for the first few rows as I set it up and then stop. So anyway, that clearly is finished, but I'm knitting it in this yarn that I showed you last week as a baby quilt, baby blanket. And the sex of the baby is at the moment unknown by me. The family may know it by now, but this is pretty turquoise and purplish. This is just, I would have said inexpensive. I mean, I guess relatively inexpensive. It's worsted weight, 100% acrylic yarn. And I bought it at Joann's, I think. Anyway, right now I'm just knitting the garter stitch border, so it's very easy. But the idea is that the baby will be born in January, so there will be some possible use of a blanket. And it is machine washable and nothing special in either the workmanship or the yarn. And so they can keep washing it, putting it in the machine every day if they want to or need to. And it will go in the dryer beautifully. And if it wears out or some, springs a snag or something, it doesn't matter. They can then put it in the circular file. Yeah. That's my thought, is it's not special. I mean, the people are special to me, but this is my friend Cindy's daughter and son-in-law who are expecting this baby. And as I said on the son and daughter-in-laws, that family, I am not going to compete with grandma making quilts for these children, even though they are important to me. I'll make quilts for my own great nieces and great nephews, as I've done and as I need to get moving on, and for other people, but I will do something else for these children because I don't want to compete with Grandma. Not that I really could, because Cindy is really better at it than I am. But anyway, now we're going to move to the variety show in a minute, and I'm actually going to leave the camera running, but I'm going to probably cut it out. So we'll see, because I need to reorganize, and you'll see why in a minute. So I doubt I'm going to leave this in. I mean, only if something interesting happens out in the yard, like the hawk that has been frequenting our yard the past couple days, if he shows up out there, or if the deer come back, which I meant to mention. Several of you mentioned in your comments a few videos ago that I had, managed to have the deer in the background. Well, I didn't even see them until you all pointed it out, and I didn't see them even when I edited that video. And I went back to look and see what you were all talking about, and it was pretty interesting. There are deer that hang out here, so maybe they'll come by, but probably not. So probably you're going to see it cut here, and then I'll come back. Okay, I'm back. So I wanted to talk to you about heirlooms, maybe, is the big overall topic. And I think that probably we have them. Probably most of us have them. Now, if you are quite young and you're watching this video and you're in your 20s, then maybe you don't have heirlooms, but maybe your parents do. And I think heirloom is kind of an interesting word too. I should have looked it up to start with, to see what its etymology is. Because, I understand the heir part, which is related to inheritance and heir. I used to say in the winter here, we might have a big long stretch of days when it was cloudy and chilly, maybe rainy. And then we would have a nice day when it'd be 70 years old, 70 degrees. And you would look up and down the street and everybody would be out with their strollers and kids with their bicycles and their parents. And I said, oh, people are out airing their heirs. So there's the word heir. And that's, of course, where heirloom comes from, is something that you inherit from the previous generation. And I have a lot of them. And I have a tiny fraction of what I could have based on what came to me, if you will, and my brother and Byron's family, my husband's family. But I think in this modern era, heirlooms are not as valued. Certainly, I don't value them as much as I think my mother did, and my son and daughter-in-law probably don't value them even as much as I do. But nonetheless, I have them. And I think that I can foresee in the fairly near future that there's going to be a certain sense of burden about them and wondering what is the right course of action with regard to them. Do I just hold on to them and then make Scott and his wife deal with them after I'm gone, or what? I don't know. But one of the big things that I inherited from my mother, I wanted to do this, was a set of china. And this is the smallest of the plates. The smallest plate, I think this is the smallest plate. And it's called hand painted, but it's actually hand decaled, and it is French Haviland china. And it's beautiful. It's white, very nice and white. It was well cared for. These little flowers are very pretty, and every plate is different. So this is the smallest plate, and then this is the next size. And the flowers are not on there in a regular way. They are just on there. And here's the next size. This is the size I had for lunch. I used for lunch today. I put a sandwich and a little pile of nuts on my plate. And this is a dinner plate. again, not regular, not, but very nice. And the plate itself, the china has, or porcelain, I guess, has a design in it that's imprinted into it. So I hope you might be beginning to get the picture. I just showed you 4 sizes of plates. And I'm going to now show you another size of plate. I have no idea what this is for. It's about 3 inches. It's not a saucer. It doesn't have a lip in it, even though there is a demi-tasse cup that is part of this set. I mean, it's very beautiful, isn't it? It really is. And then here's a bowl. And this bowl is the larger. There's a smaller one that's the same shape, nice, a very shallow bowl. And I looked this up at the time that I got this. I looked up some of the pieces, and one of these is a sherbet bowl and one of them is a fruit bowl or something. And then there's this, which possibly isn't the same pattern. You see it has gold around the edge, which these others don't, but it is a Haviland. And it's also possible that this is the pattern that is my aunt's, that my mother's sister. I'm not sure. This is the most cunning little platter. So you know, picture this. Picture a Cornish game hen on there, and you'll see that you can picture what it would look like proportionally if there were a turkey on it, because I have that size also, and I have 2 sizes in between. I don't know what they're all for. I mean, those others I could picture you might have, you know, a roast on the largest one and maybe fish on one of them and something. This little one, and again, I'm thinking back to when it was made. So when I got this from the house was 23 or 4 years ago. And at that time, my friend Anne did a little research and discovered that it was probably 140 years old. So it's 160 years old now. So what were they eating 160 years ago? Oh, I forgot to mention. So 4 sizes of platter. I have a vegetable bowl or something, which is beautiful. I didn't bring out all the serving pieces. I have a gravy thing, gravy boat, I think it is, or is it just a bowl with a saucer that goes with it. I have a set of cups and saucers for coffee, which are bigger than this, and a covered serving thing, dish, and maybe there might be some other piece. And somewhere there must be saucers for these little cups but I don't think this is it, because it doesn't have a saucer shaped hole in it, but it is kind of cute like that, isn't it? And I want to talk to you about this particular thing in a minute. And I have 12 place settings. So when we first got it, we were hosting our bridge club, and I said, we're gonna fix dinner and come over and we'll have dinner, and we're gonna use our nice china, my mother's china. And so we did, and I tried to have something to serve on every single piece. Well, I couldn't manage all the plates. I mean, 4 sizes of plates, couldn't do it. We did force ourselves to drink coffee out of the tiny, not these tiny, out of the coffee cups, which are along this line, but they're a little broader. I couldn't get them out of the cabinet. And I served sorbet between courses in these little cups. Oh, I think we used the coffee cups actually for French onion soup. That's what we did. And I did not put them under the broiler. I melted the cheese some other way. Or maybe I put the bread and cheese under the broiler and then put it on top of the soup, I think is what I did. Which, frankly, you do not want a complete unbroken coating of cheese on top of French onion soup because you will never be able to drink it. It will never be cool enough to drink, ever. If you ever have done that, that soup is still sitting there at 180 degrees and too hot to drink. Anyway, we used it all, a lot of it. And of course it has to be hand washed. The gold leaf comes off, or this hand painted little flowers come off, which I have not done that. I don't know that from my own experience, but I just know it. But the problem is what to do with it, because, so what I've done in the past several months, on and off, is I have a stack of the plates that I've gotten out for 2 or 3 plates of each of the 4 sizes. And I just have them sitting on the counter. And when I make my lunch, I use one of those plates. When I make my breakfast, I use a plate. Sometimes for supper, I use a plate. We had pizza the other night. I said, would anybody like a china plate? A couple people had china plates for their pizza. Because it is doing no one any good, and it isn't reminding me of how beautiful it is, nor reminding me of all the festive occasions in my childhood and growing up years when we used it. We always used it for Christmas and Easter, and sometimes my birthday, sometimes other occasions. If we had a dinner party, my mother would use it. For one thing, there were 12 place settings, so there was enough china. And of course, hand washing it was a big deal. So I don't know exactly. I've decided to use some of it, and if it gets chipped and broken, well, I don't think my son and daughter-in-law will want 12 place settings of this. I have it in our front closet, and we have nothing else in the front closet, pretty much, except for this china in different little zipper pouches, and because it takes up a lot of space, and in order to be able to get at it at all, it has to be in a single level. If you want to get the platters, you have to be able to get the zipper pouch thing that has the platters. Then you have to take the platter pouch into the kitchen in order to pull out the size platter that you want and carefully put it all back with the padding that comes between all the layers. I mean, it's a big deal to use it. It's sort of picky to put away. But I come back to this little cup. So this is about almost 2 inches tall, I would say, and maybe 1.75 inches around. It has this design on the inside, and that design is about 3/4 of an inch off the bottom, and it has gold here, and no saucer, unless this is a saucer, which I think this is I don't know what it is. I should try to figure that out. So I was thinking that maybe what I would do is I would make a pincushion thing. I would cross-stitch something along the lines, using the colors in this, some beautiful little flower, and make a little pincushion in there. Now the challenge is how to make the pincushion stay in there. I could just make it the size and put weight, some sort of weight in the bottom of it, and it would just stay in there. But I'll tell you, using fiberfill, as I demonstrated some weeks ago, I mean in January or sometime, fiberfill has just too much power, and it would pop right out of there. And then I would see this, I would use it, except I don't really use a pincushion that often, really, because we have needle minders as we're working, and the kind of sewing I do, I don't usually use pins that much, hand sewing. I definitely use pins at the sewing machine, but I don't know if I would put this up there because that room is fairly chaotic. I'm not going to show you that room. So what do you think? What should I do? And what is your impression of this antique china question. I really like this china. I like the look of it. I like the feel of it. It's very delicate feeling. It's lightweight. It's pretty. It has memories attached to it for me. I mean, use it, I think we agree to use it. But what do I do with it with regard to the next stage of my life, the next generation? What do I do? I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. But in the meantime, we're having chili for supper, and I think I'm going to have it in this bowl with some rice. So, did the people 160 years ago have chili in that bowl? No, I'm sure they didn't. They probably didn't know what chili was 160 years ago. At least not in France where this was made, or 160 years ago. I think my people were in the United States by then. So 160 years ago would be 1860s. Yeah, they were definitely in the U.S. I'm sure that they did not eat chili. But I'm going to have chili. And I've had pizza, which I'm sure 160 years ago they didn't eat either. As for this darling little platter, I don't know. What do you think? I mean, it's exquisite. It really is. So that is today's video. I hope that you are enjoying whatever you're stitching on. I will be back next week, 99.9% sure, and we'll see what the variety show will bring. My son is turning 30 on Monday, so tomorrow there's a party up in where they live. We're going up, and some other folks will be there, of course, and I think the weather's actually possibly supposed to be nice, which there was a period of time whenever we went up there to see them, it was pouring down rain. Just seemed like that was always true. But I think it's going to be nice tomorrow. And probably cooler up there. I'll probably be in the 70s instead of the 80s. So that's always nice because of altitude, higher altitude. So that's what we're doing this weekend. I will be back, as I say, and thanks for joining me. Thank you if you're new to my videos. I hope you have found something interesting. I normally show a lot more projects, but I'm trying to have August be a focus. Sampler September is coming. I've been thinking about what I want to accomplish during September and possibly a new start. Certainly working on the samplers I have going. And we'll see. We'll see what the future brings. And I hope you have a great week. And thanks for watching. And many blessings to you, friends.